Okay, so to start off, I'm gonna grab my Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. So this is a really nice light coverage tinted moisturizer. And I'm gonna go in with this flat foundation brush and I'm gonna just buff that into my skin. Okay, so this is just the HD Concealer e.l.f. and I just do a little bit under my eyes to brighten the area. Tiny bit there. I just kind of go like this and I dab. So I don't really do a lot of swiping. I just kind of blend that in by dabbing that in. This is you ending fire, and we shall all burn together. Watch the flames. Okay, also what I do with the concealer is I put a little bit onto my eyelids before putting on my eyeshadow as a bit of a primer. I've already done my brows before this tutorial just because my brows take a little longer and they're in the process of growing out, so I went for kind of like the big brow look today. I got this kind of in right now and I wanted to see how it suited my face, so don't mind my eyebrows if they look a little crazy today. So I blend the concealer into my eyelids, and then I'm going to grab my HD loose setting powder and I'm going to just knock a little bit into the lid. I find loose setting powder is like the hardest thing to work with, I swear. It's crazy. So I'm going to grab the same brush I used to put on my concealer and then I'm going to just do a little bit of baking here, just to make sure my concealer does not budge. So I just put a little bit here and a little bit here. You basically want to put it in all the places where you're going to get oily throughout the day. So I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. And then what I know I look ridiculous right now, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I actually just bought this brush from, I got it just a drugstore, Walmart. And it's just from e.l.f. It's just like a nice fat blending brush. Gotta love them. And then I'm going to grab my Tarte bronzer, and I actually love using this as a crease shade, like almost a transition shade for my eyes, for my eyeshadow. So I'm gonna go in and grab that on the fluffy brush and I'm just gonna start to lightly blend that into my crease to darken it up and add some definition. And it's crazy that a bronzer can be such a nice like light brown shade, but I find because this bronzer, the reason I really like it is it's not an orange bronzer at all. It's very matte and very brown. So I'm just going to grab this brush here, it's just fluffy, and I'm just going to sweep away my bake and also kind of blend it down because I want to make sure that my tinted moisturizer and my concealer on my skin sets and doesn't budge all day long. So I'm just going to blend that in. And now I look a little bit more normal again. So now that I've done a little bit of a crease color, I'm going to grab a slightly smaller eyeshadow brush. I'm going to be using this Hard Candy Look Pro Smoky Eye palette, and I'm just going to grab like a neutral like brown shade. So this is just like a normal brown shade. And I really like to use browns on my everyday looks because they're very natural, especially if you have brown hair or if you have blue eyes or anything like that. It can really come together and look pretty. So I'm going to just take a little bit of this and I'm going to work that into the outer corner, kind of focusing on the outer V. And a little bit into there. So that looks a little intense, but I promise it'll all come together. So focusing that on the outer corner, you don't want to bring those dark colors too far in unless you're doing like a really dramatic smoky eye look, which I'm not doing today. And then I'm going to go back in with the really fluffy brush and I'm going to just blend that out. And honestly, like I do not wear eyeshadow every single day, so this is kind of just like a little bit more on the higher end of what I would wear for my everyday makeup look. I don't usually wear eyeshadow every single day, but I have started to really like the look of like a very natural brown eyeshadow on the lid. I just think it adds some depth to the eyes and makes them stand out more, but doesn't look over the top. So for this, I'm just gonna leave it at that for the eyeshadow for now. Okay, so now going in with my face makeup, I'm gonna go in with the same bronzer, the Tarte Park Ave Princess Clay Bronzer, and I'm gonna just grab like this fluffy brush and I'm gonna just put some of this on here and work that into my cheekbones. I don't usually contour on like my everyday, like unless I'm doing more of a jazzed up look, like if I'm going to the movies or dinner or something. Putting that all together. Coming along. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump in with some blush. So for blush, I'm gonna be using, where are you? This Smashbox blush that I got at a drugstore. Smashbox is cruelty-free, which is really good to know because I've always really liked their products, but I didn't know for sure if they're cruelty-free. So now we know they are, so I love them. This is LA Lights Blendable Lip and Cheek Color. Kind of cool because it's lip and cheek duo, even though this is like a really big stick to be putting on my lips. I feel like I would just get it everywhere and end up looking like a clown. I kind of stick with using this on my cheeks. So I'm just going to put a little dab of this on the apples of my cheeks.
And then using a bead on it, I'm just going to dab it out.
I'm going to move on and highlight. So highlighting, once you start, I feel you really can't stop. It's just like, it's an addiction because you just gotta look glowy. Like, it's awesome. You look like you're shining. So this is actually one that I got a long time ago. It's by Essence, which is a super inexpensive cruelty-free brand that you can pick up at like Walmart and drugstores and stuff like that. And I really, really like them. And this is like kind of a cream highlighter. So what I do with this is I just take a little bit, this is very, very pretty. It looks almost kind of like a little bit like fairy dust. Like it's so, like it has a pink tint. You'll see.
So I dab this onto the high points of my cheekbone.
And I like to sometimes use a cream highlight at first and then put a powder one over. So even in my everyday look, I usually do. If I'm going to be going anywhere, I'm probably going to put a highlight on, honestly. You can't stop me. I love it too much. So now that I've just put that everywhere a little bit, I'm gonna just work on the eyes a little bit more. So what I sometimes like to do for the eyes on just an everyday look is I'll grab like a, let me see if I can find my brush. I grab kind of like a brush like this. It's just like a very small brush, and I'm gonna go in with like a darker brown. I'm gonna do like a little bit of a smoky liner. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit here. So like I said, I just kind of work like a darker brown shade into my upper lash line and then bring it down the slightest bit. Like obviously I'm not a makeup artist, so I'm not claiming to be an expert. This is just what I do every single day. Well, not every single day. This is what I would do every day for my makeup look. So this is, you know, just what I do. So what I like to do after I'm done doing the eyeshadow, especially when we're using, oops, what the heck is on my leg? When we're using stuff like this, is I grab a different concealer that I have, if I can find it. Yeah, so this is also by e.l.f., but this is a slightly different one and it's in a slightly lighter shade, and it actually comes with a highlight on one end and a concealer on the other. It's really nice. It's called e.l.f. Highlighter Concealer, literally. That's what it's called, so you can't really forget it. I go back in and I just do a very subtle kind of like line of this. Because I love that crisp look where the under eye area is super bright. So I'm going to grab my brush that I originally used for my concealer, and this is just going to clean everything up and make my eye look way more crisp. Okay, moving on. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this NYX Wonder Stick that I talk to you guys about all the time. Oh, I'm gonna take the other end. So there's a contour end, but then there's a highlight end. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna brighten up my eye area. So I'm gonna just bring it into the corners here. This is also gonna help your eyes look more awake. And as you can see, that just kind of made me look really bright and awake, because as a student we never really are, so we may as well fake it till we make it, right? Next, I'm going to go in and finish up highlighting before we're done here. I'm gonna grab this little fan brush and I'm gonna just dust this onto the high points of my face. As you guys know, you know what to do. Oh, it's honestly almost like too bright, and would I wear this much highlight every single day? Probably not, but I think that it's fun and it makes me feel awesome, so I'm gonna wear it today. It's a little too intense for me, so I'm gonna grab that translucent powder again. I'm just gonna dust that over just so that we are not blinding anybody with this highlight right now. Okay. Coming together nicely. Okay, we're almost done. So I'm gonna grab my mascara now. This is by Essence and it's I Love Extreme Crazy Volume Mascara. I got it because, let's be honest, who doesn't love crazy extreme volume? And this stuff is actually pretty good for like a $6, or actually, I think it was like $4. For like a $4 mascara at the drugstore, this stuff is pretty good. So I have already coated my lashes. I'm gonna just go in and put this stuff on. So the mascara, I like to start from the bottom, wiggle it up, because I heard that's the best technique, but then I get really tired of that at some point and I just start like blinking it in just like a crazy person, so don't mind me. And the look is never really complete without mascara. Let's be honest. And I'm at that point where I'm just gonna start blinking it. So I'm gonna fast forward. Okay, so I put on more mascara and I just cut it out because I do mascara for a long time. I really like mascara, so I just figured I'd leave that part of the video. But when I'm doing more of an everyday wearable look, I avoid doing mascara on the bottom, just because I find that if I'm gonna do mascara on the bottom, it starts to look like more intense, and so I just focused on putting mascara on the top right now, and that's all I'm gonna do. And I'm obviously not gonna do any lashes. Some people like to wear them every day. That's awesome, do you? Personally though, I like to just leave it kind of simple. So normally, honestly, on an everyday basis, I probably just wear lip chap, but if I don't wear lip chap, then an everyday color that is super wearable for me is this. It's actually a little sample. It's a NARS stick, and it's just like a nice kind of dark nude. So this is a little Lise Watier lip liner, and it's just a very nude shade, very similar to this, and I'm just gonna line my lips. So a good tip for lining your lips is, if you want to overdraw it all, focus on overdrawing only the middle of both lips. Some people can pull it off another way, but for me, I find if I overdraw my whole lip, it just changes the shape of my lips and it actually starts to look really ridiculous. So what I would recommend is you trace your real lip starting from the outer corner in. When you get down here, really put more lip liner down here. So like if you can see, I drag it down a little bit in the middle, and I also put more in the middle. And then I always do the little line down the center to juice up my lips a little bit, which I've mentioned to you guys before. And then for the top, I don't overdraw, because if I overdraw my top lip, I just end up looking like a duck, and nobody wants to look like a duck. Go ahead and line that upper lip, girl. Okay, so now that I've lined my lips, I'm gonna grab this NARS thing, and this is actually a little sample, like I said, but I love it still, and I've used the crap out of it. I got it at Sephora.
too far to carry this.
And we are good. Okay. Okay, so here's the finished makeup look. Pretty simple, and some days I wear a little bit more than this, some days I wear a little bit less than this, but this is kind of generally what I like to do with my makeup. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. Obviously my hair is not done right now. I literally got out of the shower, put it in a ponytail, and just let it down, so it's kind of crazy, so don't mind me. But yeah, so this is just my everyday makeup look. And please leave a like, and please subscribe, and let me know what videos you guys would like to see next.